Anand Ranganathan, look at the way the law is operating in this country. 1 minute, Dr. Anand Ranganathan. Dr. Anand Ranganathan, when you ask the BJP, they say NCP का so-called minister है, उसका बेटा है, वो अभी bail मिला है, whatever. Then they say your earlier home minister is missing, your police commissioner is missing. The CBI has called for the home minister and the police commissioner. Then the Maharashtra government calls for the CBI director. Then the CBI director calls for the Maharashtra DGP. Is the law an ass, or is this a banana republic, or is the law only for the Aam Aadmi, and when it comes to political fights, and everything in this country is political, nothing really matters. It is like goal jalebi. You can't find out what's going on. Dr. Anand Ranganathan, in the middle of all this, we have one NCB case and a celeb, where a WhatsApp chat is the recovery, but there are no drugs that are recoveries. What's going on in this country?
Good evening, Navika, and good evening to all my panelists. And I've been waiting for 41 minutes, so I hope I've given the courtesy of just a couple of minutes to put my points across. Navika, before I come to the points that I want to make as a layman, I'd like to say that in the last 40 minutes, we've had many erudite lawyers who've been given the chance to speak, and more than once we've heard them say this fact, as also attested by the Supreme Court, that bail should be the norm and jail should be the exception. I agree with it. But I want to ask that as officers of the court, what have you done for 4 decades when right now there are 420,000 people in jail as under trial? 70% of all prisoners in India are under trials. Forget about the fact that there are 4 crore pending cases. Scientists अगर गलती करते हैं, चंद्रायन की गलती होती है, वैक्सीन की एफिकेसी कम आती है, 2 हफ्ते तक आप मीडिया लोग हमें स्क्यूअर करते हैं. यहाँ 40 साल हो गए हैं और ऑफिसर्स ऑफ द कोर्ट कुछ नहीं कर पाए इस बात का कि 70% of all prisoners are under trials. So that's point number 1. Point number 2, Navika, you absolutely hit the nail on the head. Let me, and again, I talk only as a layman because there are erudite lawyers on the panel, better than me in understanding law. Now, here are the facts as I understand it. Number 1, as you said, there was no possession found on Aryan Khan. Number 2, he was not found to be consuming drugs or distributing drugs. Number 3, there were BJP karyakartas or workers in that raid. What were they doing? There should not have been any other person except NCB accompanying the person who's arrested to the police station. And number 4, we have to accept this as a fact. As I said, I'm speaking now as a layman. I hold no brief either for or against the national agency, that is NCB. Why should I? But as you also said, that they are talking about the WhatsApp chat and the possible arrest to be made on that. Now, in the ensuing case, it has been brought out by none other than the defense and the prosecution lawyers both, that it is an extrajudicial evidence. Now, one of the tidbits that came out of the WhatsApp chat was Aryan Khan is telling someone else, we're going to have a blast. Presumably, NCB has used that as an evidence against him for international drug peddling. Now, people may accuse it of bias against a superstar, NCB, fine, being under hour-to-hour hold of the center. But the fact is, since the day of Aryan's custody, he has been produced before a judge. And all the decisions till now have been on the orders of the judge. So one may say that the investigative agency is working under Modi's behest, but are you saying that the judiciary, that to lower judiciary, that to in an opposition rule state, is working under the orders of Modi? Point number 2, very briefly, Navika, just one thing. It is wholly wrong for so many journalists, your contemporaries and peers, to pit this case as vengeance against a quote-unquote Muslim superstar. The very thought is repugnant. Shah Rukh Khan is a superstar not because he's a Muslim. And besides, Aryan's mother is a practicing Hindu. But the same bigoted communal journalists aren't saying this case is vengeance against a Hindu. Also, there are 7 others who have been arrested and 5 of them are Hindu. Point number 3, very briefly, 30 seconds. While I do agree, Navika, that bail must be the norm and jail an exception. And as I said, this has been said not by me, but by the Honorable Supreme Court and many lower courts from time to time. The fact remains that a magistrate is seized of the matter. And so if he is denying bail to Aryan, is he doing it out of spite for his father?
Very
Or
good
is he doing it
question.
on the basis
Very
of
good
evidence
question. And let
or
me
fact?
ask that question to Mr. Chaudhary. But before I go to Mr. Chaudhary, Anand Ranganathan, just a little observation. You talked about they'll have a blast, was the WhatsApp chat. Well, blast could then be a National Security Terror Act as well, because blast has many connotations. So then, you know, we might have a terror attack. 10 seconds to you. Your final comment.
No, very quickly, I do agree with Mr. Hegde what he said, but the fact of the matter, in fact, I myself raised the question of the BJP workers. I myself said that some of the facts that were listed by the prosecution, to me at least, seem thin. But the fact of the matter that Mr. Hegde, being a lawyer, you know, officer of the court, kind of, you know, when tangential, did not answer directly, is that all these facts, you may call them bad, you know, weak points, were listed before the judge for 2 weeks. So the judge is seized of the matter. Despite that, if he does not give bail, then we have to, you can either question the judge, his integrity, or say that he is above reproach.
Well, the matter is going to come up in the courts on the 20th of October. What happens then, we'll know only then. Will it be bail for Aryan Khan on 20th of October, or will it go from one court to another? All that next week, but for now, where do you stand on this? Should Aryan Khan be going to a rehab, or should he be going to jail? Should he be with hardened criminals with no right of return, or should he be in bail looking for reformation? These are questions as a society, as parents, as adults, we should all be thinking about. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.